The bank manager's hand started shaking the moment he opened that old safety deposit box. For a second, he said nothing. His hands began to tremble. Then he stood up so quickly that his chair rolled backward and hit the wall. "Sir, please wait here," he whispered. I blinked at him in confusion. It was just an old box key my father gave me years ago. I had not used it in decades. But the banker leaned over the documents again, his eyes wide like he had just seen a ghost. Then he slowly turned back to me and whispered something that made my heart stop. "Sir, do you even know what you owned?" I sat there frozen because just 1 hour earlier, I had been a homeless 58-year-old man sitting on a park bench with nothing but a suitcase. My wife had divorced me and she had taken everything, or at least that is what she thought. "My name is Greg Anderson. Most people call me Greg now. I fix engines in my small garage. I fish on weekends at the local lake. I sit on my porch and watch the sunset while drinking beer. People think my life has always been simple, but they do not know the truth. They do not know how close I came to losing everything. And they definitely do not know what happened after that banker looked at my father's papers. To understand how I ended up sitting in that bank chair, staring at a man who suddenly treated me like royalty, we have to go back to the day my wife decided I was worth nothing. That morning started like any other. The sun came through the kitchen window. I was making coffee. My wife Patricia sat at the table reading her phone. Patricia Anderson was a respected woman in our town, active in community groups, sharp dresser, confident smile. But behind closed doors, Patricia had changed over the years. The woman I married 30 years ago had slowly disappeared, and the woman who replaced her was cold. Very cold. "Greg," she said without looking up from her phone. "Yes, honey," I answered while pouring coffee. "We need to talk." Those 4 words can make any husband nervous. I turned off the coffee maker and walked over to the table. Patricia finally looked at me, but the look in her eyes was not the look of a wife speaking to her husband. It was the look of a woman talking to a stranger. "I want a divorce," she said calmly. The room went silent. I laughed a little because I honestly thought it was a joke. "You're funny this morning, Pat," but she did not laugh. "I'm serious, Greg." My hands started to shake. 30 years of marriage, 2 children, a house we built together. And she said it like she was canceling a dentist appointment. "Why, Patricia?" "Because I want a different life that was all she said. No apology, no explanation, just a different life. Later that afternoon, I learned what that meant. His name was Charles. Charles was 38 years old. He worked as a real estate agent. He had perfect hair, expensive clothes, and a smile that always seemed a little fake. When he walked into our house that evening beside my wife, I felt something break inside my chest. Charles looked around the house like he was inspecting property for sale. "Nice place," he said. Patricia nodded proudly. "It will be ours soon." I stared at them both. "Ours, Greg," Patricia said in a patient voice, like she was talking to a child. "The divorce papers are ready. The house is in my name. The bank accounts are in my name. You will need to move out by the end of the week." The end of the week. 30 years of marriage, 7 days to disappear. I felt dizzy, but the worst part was not the house. It was my own children. My son Ryan stood behind Patricia in the living room doorway. Ryan did not look at me. He stared at the floor. "Dad, maybe this is for the best." Those words hurt more than the divorce. For the best. "I raised you in this house. I taught you how to drive. I stayed awake every night when you were sick. And now you could not even look me in the eyes." My daughter Jennifer cried softly but said nothing. Patricia cleared her throat. "Greg, please pack your things." Charles walked past me toward the kitchen like he already owned the place. I stood there frozen, then I quietly walked upstairs. I packed 1 suitcase, clothes, family photos, and a small wooden box my father gave me before he died. My father was a quiet man named William Harper. He worked hard his whole life, a mechanic, oil on his hands, grease on his boots, but his eyes were always kind. Before he passed away 25 years ago, he handed me that little wooden box. Inside it was a plain safety deposit box key. "Use this only if you truly need it," he told me. I had never used it. Not once, because my father always said something else. "Greg, money can protect you, but dignity protects your soul." So I kept the key hidden away all these years, and that night, as I closed my suitcase, I took the key out and looked at it. It was old. No bank names, no numbers on it, just a small tag with my father's name. William Harper. I slipped the key into my pocket just in case. Downstairs, Patricia was pouring wine for Charles. They laughed together. Ryan was scrolling on his phone. Jennifer had already left the house. I carried my suitcase to the door. Patricia barely looked at me. "Good luck, Greg. Good luck." That was the last thing she said to the man who had spent 3 decades beside her. I stepped outside. The front door closed behind me. Just like that, I was homeless. The night air felt cold on my face. I walked down the street slowly until I reached the park. I sat on a wooden bench, my suitcase beside me, my hands trembling. For the first time in 30 years, I had no home, no wife, no plans, and very little money. I opened my wallet. There were $47 inside. $47. I laughed a little. 30 years of marriage reduced to $47 and a park bench. That was when my hand touched the old key again. My father's key. I stared at it for a long time. Should I really use it? He had told me only to use it if I truly needed it. Well, Father, I whispered to the empty park. I think this counts. The next morning I walked into First National Bank downtown. The building was huge. Marble floors, tall glass windows, people in expensive suits. I felt small walking through those doors, but I walked to the front desk anyway. "Excuse me," I said softly. The young clerk looked at me politely. "How can I help you, sir?" I took out the old key. "I would like to open a safety deposit box that belonged to my father." She frowned slightly. "This key is very old." She called a manager over. His name was Stephen Rodriguez. Tall man, graying hair, serious expression. He took the key carefully. "Where did you get this, sir?" "My father gave it to me." Stephen nodded slowly. "Please come with me." He led me into a secure area with rows of metal boxes. Then he used my key and his master key to open box number 247. When the metal door swung open, I saw thick manila envelopes and old documents. Stephen stepped back to give me privacy. "Take your time, sir." I pulled out the first envelope with shaking hands. Inside were stock certificates, hundreds of them, but I could not understand what they meant. The second envelope contained a letter in my father's handwriting. "Greg, if you're reading this, then something went wrong in your life. I'm sorry it came to that. Your mother and I always worried about you. You have a big heart. You trust people easily, sometimes too easily." My eyes filled with tears instantly. I kept reading. "The documents in this box represent something I built for you over 35 years. I started buying shares of Mitchell Manufacturing in 1965, one small purchase at a time. By the time you started working there in 1988, I owned enough shares to protect your job. But I kept buying more. Greg, by now those shares represent 35% ownership of Mitchell Manufacturing. You are the largest single shareholder." My breath stopped. Mitchell Manufacturing? The company I had worked at for 35 years. The company where I fixed machines and engines every day. My father had been buying shares the entire time. The letter continued. "If you're reading this, it means Patricia has probably hurt you. I never trusted that woman completely. She is smart, but she is selfish. I set up these investments to protect you, Greg. Use them wisely. Use them to protect yourself and your family. But remember what I always taught you. Money can protect you, but dignity protects your soul. Do not use this power for anger. Use it for justice. Love always, your father." I sat there in that small room crying like a baby. My father, the quiet mechanic who came home every evening with grease on his hands, had been protecting me for decades. I looked at the stock certificates again. 35% of Mitchell Manufacturing. That made me the largest shareholder of the company where I had worked for 35 years. The company that employed 800 people in our town. The company Patricia probably thought she could never touch. Stephen Rodriguez knocked softly on the door. "Sir, are you all right?" I wiped my eyes and nodded. "Stephen, can you help me understand something?" "Of course. What do these stock certificates mean exactly?" He looked at the papers carefully. "Sir, these represent 35% ownership of Mitchell Manufacturing. That makes you the largest individual shareholder." My heart began to beat faster. "What does that mean in practical terms?" Stephen folded his hands. "It means you have significant influence over company decisions. The board of directors must listen to you. In many cases, you can block major decisions or demand information." I leaned back in the chair. "Stephen, there's something else you should know." "Yes, sir. Mitchell Manufacturing is where I have worked for the last 35 years. Stephen's eyes widened. "Sir, are you saying you have been an employee of a company you partially own?" "That is exactly what I'm saying. And I never knew it." Stephen looked impressed. "Your father was a very smart man."
Yes, he was. I spent the next hour learning about shareholder rights and responsibilities.
Stephen explained that Mitchell Manufacturing's board of directors had been trying to contact the mystery shareholder for years. They send annual reports and meeting invitations to a post office box, but no one ever responds. "That post office box belongs to your father's estate," Stephen said, "which now belongs to you." My mind was spinning. I could influence the company. I could demand to see financial records. I could attend board meetings. But most importantly, I had power, real power. For 35 years, I had been just Greg, the mechanic. Now I was Greg Anderson, largest shareholder of Mitchell Manufacturing. The difference felt enormous. Stephen prepared temporary access to my father's bank accounts. When he showed me the balance, I nearly fell off my chair. The stock dividends had been accumulating for years. There was enough money to buy a house, a car, and live comfortably for the rest of my life. But the most important thing was not the money, it was the truth. Patricia had thrown me away thinking I was powerless, but I was the opposite. I owned part of the biggest employer in our town. I thanked Stephen and walked out of the bank feeling different, not angry, exactly. Something colder and more focused. For 30 years, I had been the quiet husband, the supportive partner, the man who fixed things while Patricia made decisions. But now I knew something she did not. I was not the weak one. I walked down the sidewalk slowly, my mind racing, then I stopped. Across the street was a large electronic billboard, and suddenly, I saw something that made my stomach twist. A smiling photo of Patricia and Charles. It was an advertisement for a real estate open house. Thompson Properties, your dream home awaits, hosted by Charles Davis. The event was happening tonight at the Mitchell Manufacturing Employee Credit Union, only 2 blocks away, and suddenly a strange idea formed in my mind. What if I went not as the husband she threw away, but as the shareholder she never knew existed? My heart began to beat faster. For 30 years I had lived quietly beside that woman. Maybe it was time she finally met the real Greg Anderson. But first, I needed help. I remembered my old supervisor at Mitchell Manufacturing, Anthony Martinez. Tony had worked his way up to plant manager over 25 years. More importantly, Tony was honest. If something was wrong at the company, he would know. I drove to Mitchell Manufacturing and asked to speak with Tony privately. When I told him about the stock certificates, his face went pale. "Greg, are you serious? 35% ownership?" I showed him copies of the documents Stephen had prepared. Tony whistled low. "Greg, this explains so much." "Explains what?" "There have been some strange financial decisions over the past 2 years. The board has approved investments that do not make sense, money going to consulting firms that nobody can track down." Tony leaned forward. "We all suspected something was wrong, but without the major shareholder present, we could not investigate properly." I felt my chest tighten. "What kind of investments?" Tony pulled out some papers from his desk. "Look at this, $180,000 paid to something called Davis Investment Consulting for financial planning services." My blood went cold. Davis, as in Charles Davis. Tony continued, "There are 3 more payments just like it. Different company names, but all connected to the same address." I stared at the documents. Patricia and Charles had been stealing from Mitchell Manufacturing. From my company, from the company that employed half our town. Tony shook his head. "Greg, if this is fraud, it could destroy Mitchell Manufacturing. All those families depend on us." I nodded grimly. "Tony, I need you to do something for me." "What? Call an emergency board meeting for tomorrow morning. Tell them the major shareholder will finally attend." That evening, I sat in my truck outside the credit union building. Through the windows, I could see Patricia and Charles mingling with potential homebuyers. Patricia wore a red dress and high heels. She looked confident, successful, like someone who had made all the right decisions in life. Charles worked the room in his expensive suit, shaking hands and passing out business cards. They had no idea that 35% of Mitchell Manufacturing was sitting in a pickup truck across the street. I started the engine and drove home to my small motel room. Tomorrow would be the day everything changed. The next morning, I put on my best shirt and tie. Then I drove to Mitchell Manufacturing's executive building. I had worked in the factory for 35 years, but I had only been to the executive offices twice. Once when I was hired, and once when I received a 25-year service award. Today was different. Today I walked through those doors knowing something no one inside that building knew. I owned more of this company than anyone else. The security guard recognized me. "Morning, Greg, heard you were coming to the board meeting. Word travels fast around here." The elevator ride to the executive floor felt longer than it really was. When the doors opened, I saw a wide hallway with thick carpets and large windows that looked over the entire town. Tony Martinez met me at the elevator. "Ready for this, Greg?" "As ready as I will ever be." He led me to a large conference room with a long wooden table. 7 board members were already seated. They all stood when I walked in. Some looked curious. Some looked nervous. The board chairman, an elderly man named Daniel Wilson, smiled warmly. "Mr. Anderson, we have been trying to meet with you for years." I sat at the head of the table. "Gentlemen, I apologize for my absence. I only recently learned about my father's investments." Daniel nodded. "Mr. Anderson, we have some serious concerns about recent company expenditures. We hoped you could help us address them. That is exactly why I'm here." Tony placed the financial documents on the table in front of me. I looked at the papers showing payments to Davis Investment Consulting and 3 other fake companies, all totaling $720,000, all connected to Charles Davis. Gentlemen, I said calmly, these payments appear to be fraudulent. Several board members leaned forward. The consulting services listed here were never provided to Mitchell Manufacturing. Furthermore, I believe these payments were approved without proper shareholder authorization. Daniel Wilson frowned. Mr. Anderson, how can you be certain? Because I know Charles Davis personally. He is not a financial consultant. He is a real estate agent. And he is currently having an affair with my wife. The room went completely silent. I continued, my wife Patricia has had access to company information through my employment here. She and Charles have been using that information to create fake consulting companies and steal money from Mitchell Manufacturing. Tony spoke up. Greg is right. I have been tracking these payments for months. They all go to the same address. Charles Davis's office address. The board members exchanged worried looks. Daniel Wilson cleared his throat. Mr. Anderson, if this is true, we are looking at serious criminal fraud, I know, and I believe there is more. I think they plan to steal even more money after my divorce was finalized. That is why Patricia was so eager to get me out of the house quickly. She needed me away from anything connected to the company. Daniel nodded grimly. What do you recommend we do? I looked around the table at these 7 men who had been trying to protect the company for years. Call the police. Freeze all payments to these fake companies, and prepare to file criminal charges against Patricia Anderson and Charles Davis for theft and fraud. 2 hours later, Detective Sarah Collins arrived at Mitchell Manufacturing with a team of financial investigators. She was a serious woman in her 40s who specialized in corporate fraud cases. Detective Collins listened carefully as we explained the situation. Then she asked to see all the financial records and documents. Tony and I provided everything we had found. Detective Collins studied the papers for a long time. Mr. Anderson, this appears to be systematic fraud spanning 2 years. The fake consulting companies, the forged invoices, the unauthorized payments. This is a felony case. My heart was beating hard, but not from nervousness, from something that felt like justice finally arriving. Detective Collins continued. We will need to arrest both Patricia Anderson and Charles Davis for theft, fraud, and conspiracy. But first, we need to freeze their assets to prevent them from hiding the stolen money. She looked at me directly. Mr. Anderson, are you prepared to testify against your wife? I thought about that question. 30 years of marriage, 2 children together, a lifetime of shared memories. But then I remembered sitting on that park bench with $47, feeling like the world had thrown me away. Yes, detective, I am prepared to testify. Within an hour, police had search warrants for both Patricia's accounts and Charles's business records. Detective Collins called me that afternoon with an update. We found the money, Mr. Anderson. Charles Davis had been moving it through several accounts, but it is still recoverable. Most of the $720,000 is intact. Additionally, we found evidence they were planning to steal another $400,000 after your divorce was finalized. That evening, I sat in my motel room watching the local news. The arrests were the top story. Local real estate agent and accomplice arrested in corporate fraud scheme. They showed Charles being led away in handcuffs from his office. They showed Patricia being arrested at our old house, the house where she had told me I was worth nothing. The reporter said both suspects were charged with felony theft and could face up to 10 years in prison. I turned off the TV and sat quietly for a long time. I did not feel angry anymore. I felt something simpler, peace. The next morning, my phone rang. It was my son, Ryan. His voice sounded different. Dad, I saw the news. I'm sorry. Those words took me by surprise. Sorry for what, son? For not believing in you, for standing by Mom when I should have stood by you. We talked for 2 hours that morning. Ryan told me Patricia had been acting strangely for months before the divorce. Secretive phone calls, unexplained absences, expensive purchases she could not explain. But he had been too confused to understand what was happening. Dad, I was wrong about you. You were never weak. I just could not see your strength. My daughter Jennifer called later that day with a similar message. Both my children wanted to rebuild our relationship. That meant more to me than any amount of money. 3 months later, Patricia pled guilty to fraud and theft charges. She was sentenced to 18 months in prison and ordered to pay full restitution to Mitchell Manufacturing. Charles received 2 years in prison and lost his real estate license permanently. At the sentencing hearing, Patricia looked across the courtroom at me with pure hatred. She could not believe the quiet husband she had thrown away had become the person who destroyed her plans. But I felt no satisfaction from her anger. I felt something better, self-respect. The board of directors at Mitchell Manufacturing asked me to take a more active role in company oversight. I accepted the position of chairman of the board. It felt strange going from mechanic to boardroom, but my 35 years of experience with the company's operations made me effective at the job. More importantly, I was protecting 800 families who depended on Mitchell Manufacturing for their livelihoods. Stephen Rodriguez at the bank helped me establish a foundation to help older adults who face financial abuse from family members. We called it the William Harper Foundation after my father. The foundation provides legal assistance and emergency housing for people in situations similar to mine. 6 months after everything began, I bought a small house near the lake where I used to fish. It has a workshop where I can still fix engines when I want to. It has a porch where I can sit and watch the sunset. My children visit regularly now. Ryan brings his 2 young sons to learn about engines and tools. Jennifer and I cook dinner together on Sundays. We talk about everything we missed during those confused months when our family was broken. Sometimes people ask me if I'm angry about what Patricia did. The answer is no. Anger would have made me bitter and small. Instead, I learned something valuable about myself. I learned that strength is not about being loud or demanding attention. Real strength is about being prepared when life tests you. My father knew that. He spent 35 years quietly building protection around me, never asking for credit or recognition. That is the kind of man I want to be. Last week, I was having coffee at the local diner when a young man approached my table. He introduced himself as a new employee at Mitchell Manufacturing. "Mr. Anderson," he said, "I just wanted to thank you." "Thank me for what?" My father worked at Mitchell Manufacturing for 20 years before he retired. He always said it was the most honest company in town because of what you did. That is still true. We shook hands and I realized something important. Protecting that company was not about revenge against Patricia. It was about protecting something bigger than myself. Tonight, I'm sitting on my porch watching the sunset over the lake. My father's voice echoes in my memory. Money can protect you, but dignity protects your soul. He was right about that. Patricia lost everything because she forgot that lesson. But I gained something far more valuable than the money she tried to steal. I gained the knowledge that I am stronger than I ever imagined. And I gained the respect of my children, my community, and most importantly, myself. So if you ever feel like life has taken everything from you, remember this. Sometimes the moment you think you have lost everything is actually the moment you discover what you truly own. And sometimes the quietest person in the room turns out to be the strongest one of all. Sometimes the people who underestimate you the most are the ones who end up giving you the greatest gift, the motivation to prove them wrong and discover your own true worth. Real power isn't about controlling others or flaunting wealth. It's about having the quiet confidence to protect what matters and the wisdom to use your strength for justice, not revenge. The most dangerous assumption you can make about someone is that their silence means weakness because the quietest waters often run the deepest. And the humble mechanic might just own the whole factory. When life strips everything away from you, it's not destroying you, it's revealing who you really are underneath all the roles and expectations. And sometimes that person is far stronger than anyone imagined. The difference between a victim and a victor isn't what happens to you, it's how you choose to respond when you discover you have more power than you ever knew existed.